NewOrleans.Football Saints fall to 500 going into the bye week, losing the Vikings 27-19. I mean, I can't even imagine the factory of sadness that it was in the stadium for the NewOrleans.Football crew who were there live. Luckily, I just had to watch it here, in my apartment, in my living room. If I would have had to actually be in Minnesota for the game, that would have been a pit of despair. So let's go ahead and listen to what they thought about everything that occurred.
An almost improbable comeback win became another loss in an underwhelming 2020.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of crazy how close it was. It was one of those things where maybe it was closer than it really was because we were I was so hopeful. I was begging for the magic, begging for Jameis to pull the rabbit out of the hat and to make it happen. And it seemed so close, like one possession. And I mean, with the 2-point conversion, like 3 2-point conversions in a row, all that stuff to happen, that would have been insane just to go to overtime. That's not even to win. That's to go to overtime or potentially force overtime. So, man, it would have been magical, no doubt about it. I wish it would have happened. I almost tweeted out at one point. I had it loaded up and everything. And if you're looking for the Twitter link, ladies and gentlemen, just go down below. All the socials are down below. I almost tweeted out, if Jameis completes his comeback, I will buy a Jameis jersey within the next 24 hours, and I will wear it every single video for the next month. I was going to fire that out there and put it into the universe to try and help a little bit, but alas, it was not meant to be.
23 season for the New Orleans Saints. Welcome back to The Dot. Post-game coverage presented by Matt Bauer's Auto Group. I'm Brooke Kirchhofer. Backup quarterback Jameis Winston entered the game for an injured Derek Carr and made it a game with 2 touchdowns and 2 successful 2-point conversions. With under 2 minutes to play, Saints driving down by 8 points. Jameis Winston was intercepted, and then with 6 seconds to play.
The second interception was really bad. That was the one that hurt. Like Jameis, he is so high risk, high reward, and he is the reason, him taking the chances, him throwing the jump balls, him having the guts to do that is the only reason we even got within a possession. So shouts to Jameis. But that last interception, my God, I mean, you're talking about, there was about 5 different people that could have intercepted the pass. I think one of them was a stadium worker. I don't think one of them was even on the defense. There was just so many people around the wide receiver. I think it was Shaheed. I'm not sure why. I mean, I hate whenever the play ends like that on an interception because you always want one more play. You always want one more chance. And I think it was 3rd and 3, I believe. One of the interceptions was 3rd and 3. Maybe one that got called back. But regardless, I hated to see the magic, get put out that quick.
A Hail Mary attempt fell incomplete. The Saints fall to the Vikings 27-19 and head into the bye week 5-5 on the season.
We have a great group of guys. We just have to get it together. Rashid, Chris, Mike, AT, tight end group with Jawan, Taysom, and Foster.
That is a power shirt right there. I can't tell if it would be cozy or if it would be very itchy. It seems like that kind of fabric would be very itchy. I'm not sure what fabric that is. Whatever the Grinch was made out of, I guess. Whatever. That might be the Grinch's actual skin or fur or whatever the Grinch was. But, I mean, I'm with Jameis. I do think we have a great group of guys. Like, I think the core is good. I've said in the past, and by the past, I mean, I think 3 days ago, I said I'd put our roster, our playmakers, our core, I'd put them up against basically anyone in the NFL. I'd put, the Derek Carr, Chris Olave, Alvin Kamara, Michael Thomas, Taysom Hill. I'd put that group up against Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, Tony Pollard. I'd put that group up against a lot of people. I mean, virtually any team. There are very few teams that I look at and I say, man, they just straight up are better than us roster-wise. Straight up better than us as far as playmakers go. And that's why it just baffles me of why we cannot get results. And it shouldn't baffle me. It shouldn't befuddle me because the answer is right before my eyes. It's these coaches. we are, I mean, we might as well be coached by Barnum and Bailey, because we got a couple of circus clowns on the sideline with Allen and Carmichael. I mean, that's the only answer. The only, I wish we had a crystal ball or something. I wish we had a bizarro kind of parallel universe, and we could see what Sean Payton or Sean McVay or Kyle Shanahan or Mike McDaniel or any of those coaches, what would they do with this team? Would we be around the same? Is it really not the coaches? Or would we be, 8-2? Would we be some insane juggernaut of a team? Would Kamara have all these extra stats? Would Taysom have all these extra stats? Would Olave be having an explosive sophomore year? It's just hard for me to believe that it's these players. It really is.
Also, we got guys that can really go.
Yeah.
We just got to continue to develop, continue to get better and execute.
I think.
Now, see, that's where I disagree. We don't have time to develop. We should not be developing. The players are too far advanced. The players are too good. The players are too talented. Most of them are too experienced. The time for development, the time for getting better, and all those terms and cliches, that at some point, guys, we're going to get eliminated from the playoffs or eliminated from playoff contention, and we're going to be like, man, we just got to develop a little bit more. We just got to, growing pains. It's like, hey guys, by the way, the season's over. We ran out of time of that. That's what it feels like. It feels like every week we keep saying the same thing, and the next time we play a game, it'll be week 12. What other team in week 12 is developing and taking that next step and just getting a little bit better? At some point you got to be developed. At some point you got to be ready to roll. You got to have your best version. You got to be the best version of your team. You've got to show us what you can do. I don't know why the culture is so obsessed with that, the idea of developing, the idea of just taking baby steps.
I think just as a team, we've got to do a better job of, being more competitive in first halves of games. Our guys, fought their tails off to give themselves a chance, but can't keep digging yourself into these holes and think you're going to be able to come back all the time.
There were injuries to 3 key Saints players in the loss. Michael Thomas left the game early with a knee injury.
Yeah, I mean, the injuries were tough. The game was wild. If you think about what this game looked like a month ago and then what it looks like now. From the Vikings side, Kirk Cousins out for the year. Justin Jefferson's been out for 5 games, I think. Osborne doesn't play. Madison gets hurt in the game. On our side, Carr gets hurt. Thomas gets hurt. Lattimore gets hurt. It was, talk about some roster shakeups. I mean, Jaron Hall. The fact that Dobbs is even starting. Jaron Hall was supposed to be the starting quarterback. And then Jaron Hall gets concussed. They have to trade for Dobbs. And, I mean, it's just an absolute revolving door of players at every position, basically. So there was injuries everywhere. Injuries are not an excuse for the Saints. It obviously is not good that, Carr got hurt and Thomas got hurt and all that stuff. But it's not an excuse. We're playing a team that's decimated by injuries as well. So we were the favorite. We are supposed to win these games. We've lost 5 games this year. Look at the quarterbacks that's beat us. I mean, let's see if we can, right off the top of the dome. Baker Mayfield, C.J. Stroud. C.J. Stroud is obviously turned into an MVP level player, but he's still a rookie. That was still his, whatever it was, 3rd game. We still should have won the game. Jordan Love, my God. I mean, Jordan Love, ladies and gentlemen. Trevor Lawrence, fine. Josh Dobbs, I mean, damn, just, when we keep talking about the schedule and we covered the schedule and we covered the quarterbacks we're facing, if we have an elite defense, which I think we can go ahead and put that to bed, if we have an elite defense, you don't go 500 against that group of quarterbacks. You don't go 500 against that group of teams. I mean, it's just, you got to be better than that. You can't. I can't believe we haven't been able to take advantage of the schedule.
Injury, and then Derek Carr left the game to be evaluated for a concussion as well as a right shoulder injury, and then Marshon Lattimore left the game late for an ankle injury. Thomas's injury is not expected to be serious, and according to sources, Marshon Lattimore does have an ankle sprain.
So a quick note on Thomas. So this is a personal note. So obviously, this week, I was talking about how I liked Thomas to go off this game because he had no receptions in the previous game. And I thought the way the Saints operate, I thought they would put an emphasis on getting him the ball. And if you're not covering teams closely, then that kind of like narrative can get lost. So I said in the preview video to bet on Michael Thomas's props, specifically his receptions. His receptions was 3.5. They threw to him twice on the first 2 plays. The first 2 plays, boom, 2 throws to Thomas, just bang, bang. I'm sitting there, I'm thinking, easy money, baby. I'm counting, I'm on Amazon, I'm throwing stuff in my cart, we're ready to roll. And then he gets taken out, never comes back on the field. It's crazy how much that happens. When you bet props and you take the over, always run risks of injury. The worst time that ever happened to me was I had Chris Godwin over 6.5 receptions. This is when Tom Brady was with the Buccaneers. Godwin was having like 15, 16 receptions a game. It was obvious that Brady liked throwing to him. He had 6 receptions on the first drive. Okay, I had 6.5. Again, I'm on Amazon. I'm throwing all kind of stuff in my cart. He tears his ACL right after this on the 6th catch. Or he might have actually, he might have actually been targeted for the 7th catch, and he dropped it because he tore his ACL, and that was it. That was one of the worst. Those like injury break points like that are tough to swallow.
Will get an MRI on Monday. And as for Derek Carr, it is believed that he has avoided any major injuries, but will be further evaluated.
Well, we'll see where Derek's at. I mean,
having the bye week is good too. Like having the bye week with these kind of injuries, good. The players need a break anyways, but get healthy. You know, it's a good time for a bye week.
Yeah, I don't think we're. Well, I know we're not in a competition there. I thought Jameis did some good things, but Derek Carr's our starting quarterback.
Defensively, the Saints once again struggled to contain a mobile quarterback. Vikings quarterback Joshua Dobbs ran for 44 yards and threw for 2.
Brooke could have put a period after the word struggled, because the sentence could be the Saints defense struggled. That point blank. That's it. The first half, I mean, the Vikings had 300 yards of offense in the first half. They were on pace for 600 yards of total offense. That's crazy. Hawkinson had 125 yards of receiving yards in the first half. I don't understand. They were averaging 8 yards a play in the first half. 8 yards a play. The 07 Patriots didn't average 8 yards a play. I don't know what's going on with the defense to where the first half we're just a total mess. And I hate to keep, beating a dead horse here, but the only thing I can point at is the game plan. And ladies and gentlemen, who is putting together the game plan? I'll give you a hint. It's the coaching staff. How is the game plan this bad week in and week out? Because it's happened week in and week out, where the first half we get embarrassed defensively. Happening against Indianapolis, happening against Chicago, happening against Minnesota. It happens every single game where we get destroyed in the first half, we make an adjustment, we dominate defensively in the second half, and we hope that our offense, our pathetic offense, can somehow claw us out, dig us out of the hole. Hey, newsflash, we don't have the offense to do that. We're not the Chiefs. We're not the Eagles. We're nothing offensively. We certainly can't say, yeah, let's just, 21 points on the road, no problem. For the first half of the season, we weren't even averaging 15 points a game. And now all of a sudden our game plan is basically allowing the other team to just march up and down the field in the first half and hoping our offense can figure it out. I mean, what happened to the defense that didn't allow 20 points for 13 straight games? What happened to that?
268 yards. The defense also failed to start fast, which has been another issue plaguing this group.
Start fast.
At the end of the day, it's still about going out there and playing. At the end of the day,
Yes.
they could call a call, and it might be a bad call, but we still got to go to work because we're the players out there playing. You got to go out there and make plays, and it's a mindset that we have to have a mindset of just going out there and giving it our all and playing hard for our brothers on side of us, and and doing our job as best as we can. And the crazy thing is, when we do it, it's a sight to see.
Yeah, they're
we got to
elite.
find a way to do it for 4 quarters and do it every play and be consistent. And that's our biggest challenge right now, I feel, as a defense and as a D-line.
Nobody
Agreed.
likes playing from
Agreed.
behind. Like when you have to come up, when you have to come back from that many points, like it's damn near impossible. Like it was 24-3, right? Like that's
In the second quarter.
That's a huge deficit. That's hard for anybody to come
On
back
the
from.
road. Yeah, it is.
So yeah, I don't know why it worked or why it works whenever we get in desperation mode, but I don't want to be in it. Like
I think that's a false. I think that's too. And I'm not saying he's wrong. I'm saying like the idea that we're good, because I've heard that narrative a lot watching a lot of recaps. I think the narrative is that we're good when we're down, and people want to know why. And it's nothing to do with tempo. It's nothing to do with all that stuff. It's the fact that the other, like when the Vikings are up 21, when it's 24-3, everything changes, right? The script changes. They change their offense. They change what they're doing. They change their defense. When teams are up that big, they want to kill the clock in the game. Don't make mistakes. Don't take chances. Play safe coverages. Play safe defenses. And that allows success. Like that allows stuff to happen. So being good in garbage time, which is basically what the Saints have done, they're good whenever they're allowed, when the resistance is gone. Like that's not good. There's nothing you can take away from that. The Saints have got to be, and I don't even know why I'm saying they have to be, because this coaching staff can't do it, but they have to be a proactive offense. They have to go do what they want to do. They have to go make the defense stop them. And if they stop them, do something else you want to do. You never see good teams get dictated by the other team. The Saints are constantly dictated by their opponent. If their opponent gets up to a lead, the Saints immediately start changing things. All week, there was a commenter told me this. This is from I've said it before, and I'll say it again. The comment section in my videos, the community we've built here. I mean, you talk about some of the smartest. We know ball here. That's all I'm saying. But according to them, in the Minnesota media all week leading up to the game, all they talked about was Taysom Hill. How are we going to stop Taysom? He's creative. He's dangerous. There's no player like him. He's so unique. We have to keep him contained. We got to do this. We got to do that. That's all they talked about. He got 1 carry. And Dennis Allen in the postgame said the reason he got 1 carry was because Minnesota got up quick. So how crazy is that? That the one thing Minnesota's worried about, the Saints chose to eliminate it. How much do you think Brian Flores loved that? Could you imagine telling Brian Flores, hey, don't even worry about Taysom Hill? How much easier does that make his life? Like it's crazy the Saints do that. And we talked about that against the Bears, where the Saints chose certain plays. I think it was against the Bears. The Saints chose certain plays and certain personnel packages that made it easy for the Bears. 3rd and 10, they took out Olave. They took out Kamara. They took out Rashid. Fantastic. If you're the Bears, we don't have to worry about covering any of the guys we were worried about. The Saints, and to me, that's the hallmark of just bad scheme, bad coaching, bad all that. The fact that you're basically waiting for the game flow or the game script to tell you what to do. Even if it means isolating your best players, even if it means throwing your best players out of there. It's nuts. It's hard to believe that Derek Carr could get hurt and we could not use Taysom at all. That to me, that is a gift if you're trying to use Taysom. That opportunity. Down 21, you have because I understand the idea of like you don't want to take Carr off the field. But if Carr is already off the field, they're inviting you. the game flow is inviting you to use Taysom. As a playmaker, you got to feel free at that point. There's nothing to lose. You're starting quarterbacks out. You have to be creative. You have to use Taysom. Get him involved. Split snaps between him and Jameis Winston. And we do the opposite. We make it so easy and predictable for the Vikings. We said, our starting quarterback's out. What do we got to do here? Let's just do the same thing every play. Let's drop Jameis back and just turn into like a West Coast air raid offense. What do you think Minnesota's going to do? I mean, it's mind-blowing.
That shit sucks.
The Saints will get
suck.
the week off to heal up, and then when they return, they head to Atlanta to take on the Falcons for the first time this season. And we will continue evaluating the loss tonight live on NewOrleans.Football from US Bank Stadium. We'll see you there.
Good stuff. Good stuff as always from NewOrleans.Football. Yeah, I mean, bad stuff all around. The bye week is coming at a good time. It hurt. I know players have said it's harder to go on a bye week after a loss because it's hard to shake that. But I mean, in the next 48 hours, the front office has got to answer some questions. Loomis has to answer some questions. I really think you gotta have some hard talks, hard conversations with people. I mean, this isn't working. The Allen Carmichael fiasco, it's not working. You know, what are we doing here? Carmichael can't do anything. The offense is bad. Allen's around because he's supposed to be a defensive genius. All of a sudden we have the worst defense in the NFL in the first half of games. I mean, I don't know what defensive genius is allowing teams to be on pace for 600 yards of offense in 3 straight games when the quarterbacks are Gardner Minshew, Tyson Bagent, and Josh Dobbs. Gardner Minshew, Tyson Bagent, and Josh Dobbs in 6 total quarters have completely destroyed the Saints defense. And that's with prep. Like the second half, I think if an offense starts to exploit you in the second half, it's because they made adjustments, whatever. The first half, that means whatever you were doing during the week, whatever the game planning was, whatever the scheme was, whatever the video and all that, whatever that couple weeks were, throw that in the trash. If you're starting that bad, to me, that's just straight up scheme, straight up. I mean, it's inexcusable. Absolutely inexcusable. Let me know in the comments below, ladies and gentlemen, where you come down on this game. I mean, we got 2 weeks to talk about it. 2 weeks to talk about it. 2 weeks to break it down. I don't think it'll happen, but I have a funny feeling we could be getting some news coaching-wise in the next couple of days. I mean, it's hard to imagine Loomis just sits back and says, yeah, this is about right. Because going into a bye, if you're going to make a move, that's when you make the move. It gives you extra time, sort things out. If someone else is going to take over play calling or whatever, gives them time. If you don't do it before the bye, you probably won't do it for the rest of the season. So we'll see. We'll monitor, of course, like only we can do. Thank you for watching, ladies and gentlemen. I will see you in the next video.